Hey, what's going on, DDO players? Axel here. So, one thing that the DDO developers have been doing in recent years is having in real life fan meetups at Gen Con, which happens early August. And for those of you who don't know, Gen Con takes place in Indianapolis each year, and it's a gaming convention mostly focused on board games. So, at these fan meetups, they've been doing some big announcements, and this year was not any exception. Last year was the same. Last year I went to the fan meetup in Gen Con in Indianapolis, and I was able to speak to some of the developers and a bunch of players, and I was able to do an interview with Severlin and Cordovan, the community manager and the executive producer of the game. This year I did not go, but they made a lot of big announcements that I want to talk about. A lot of stuff has been announced in the past few, this has been a huge 2-3 weeks. So first thing that I want to talk about is the new Hardcore League. It's a brand new permadeath server. So let's just read through this post here on the Lamania forums and just talk about it. Oh, in addition to this post, there is about a 20-minute interview that DDO Players News did with Severlin, Cordovan, and Linabel. Linabel's the developer, Cordovan's the community manager, and Severlin's the executive producer. I will put that below in the description if you want to check that out. It gives some more info that this post does not give. But let's go ahead and read through this post, and I'll also probably reference that interview a bit as well. But anyways, let's go ahead. So here's what they have to say about the new Hardcore League server. Only one life per character. Character death on the hardcore server during the league will be permanent. It doesn't matter how you die. Normal play, one-shots, lag, disconnects, earthquakes, power outages, acts of God, ninja attacks on your play area. Whatever the reason, character death is permanent during the league. When a character dies on the hardcore server, they enter another realm where they exist only as a spirit. They cannot be resurrected by any means. No res shrines, no resurrection spells, no spirit cakes, no Jack Tibbers blades. Nothing will bring your character back to life. So standard per DDO permadeath rules. For those of you who don't know, permadeath has been a kind of a niche play style in DDO for many years. There have been dedicated permadeath players who have self-imposed their own rules. So their rules usually, it varies per player, but generally it's if your character dies, then you have to delete your character. Now, the server is going to work on pretty much the same basis. If your character dies for any reason, it is deleted. Oh, it's not deleted. I'm sorry. It is basically transported to some special area where you cannot basically raise your character at all ever, and your character is no longer been able to play on that server. Also, one thing the developers have made clear is that once your character dies, the character isn't deleted. The character will remain dead on the permadeath server, and you can't play it again on the permadeath server, but you can transfer your character off onto one of the regular servers, even if it's dead. Okay, next they talk about mortality, the rewards NPC. So this is some of the rewards and things to incentivize you to play permadeath, which this is the basis for the rewards is going to be cosmetics and leaderboards, bragging rights basically. So mortality, the rewards NPC. At various places in the game world, you can find a new NPC named Mortality. Mortality will grant cosmetic rewards to characters that have passed specific benchmarks. These rewards, once unlocked on a character on the Hardcore League season server, will be available for all characters on that account on all servers. Okay, and then they talk about the various rewards, which include reaching a certain favor level, favor levels, reaching certain Reaper enhancement points, 10 and 20, and reaching character level 20. So there's a variety of reward types here, and I think they did that so that they cover various they want to incentivize different ways of playing. So for example, favor, they're offering that as a reward type because they know that players could just grind, say, especially when they get into epics, they could just grind the same few quests. But if they give rewards based on favor, that means players are forced to play at certain levels or certain dungeons, a variety of dungeons, and it also means players are incentivized to play the higher difficulties, at least up to elite, because if you play just hard or normal, you don't get full favor. You have to play elite or Reaper to get full favor rewards. Reaper enhancement points obviously is there to incentivize you to play Reaper on the permadeath server. If you because otherwise, if they didn't give a reward for Reaper, there would be no reason to play Reaper, honestly, because it would be much safer to just level your character on the standard difficulties. So that's really good. And then reaching character 20, that's a standard one that I think we would all expect. You get a reward when you reach a certain level. I'm surprised there isn't a reward actually for reaching level 30. But yeah, that's just kind of the standard reward. Just if you get far enough by whatever method, you get a reward for that. So that's cool. So I think let's just continue on to leaderboards. And we'll talk about the next, which is I think probably the better motivating rewards. So leaderboards. Mortality also allows viewing access to view leaderboards for the Hardcore League server. These leaderboards will display the top 100 living characters with the most total favor and Reaper enhancement points. If a character dies, they will be removed from both leaderboards. So this is going to be, and they explained in the Draculeta interview, DDO players interview, that this is going to be in the form of a plaque in the Hall of Heroes that's just going to list all the names. My assumption is that once the season is over, the leaderboard will be permanent in the permanently listed in the Hall of Heroes. I could be wrong on that, but I'm assuming that after the season is over, that there would be some incentive to kind of end the season as the winner, quote unquote. But we'll see how that plays. I could be wrong. So yeah, bragging rights is going to be a big motivator here on the server. Not power, creep, anything like that, not gear, none of that. It's going to be mainly cosmetics and bragging rights, which I think is a really cool way to do it. Okay, next, no characters from other servers. Players are not allowed to transfer characters from other servers to the Hardcore League server. So when you play a character, you have to start on level 1. There's no veteran status, nothing like that. Everyone has to start in Korthos on level 1, or maybe, I guess, keep on the Borderlands whenever that comes, which is going to be a alternate starting area. Next, level 1 iconic characters. All iconic races created will spawn in their usual starting areas, but will then be transported to the beach on Korthos and not given experience to level past 1. So this is kind of an interesting way to play because iconic characters have never been able to play from level 1. Now you can in the game have your level 15 just not level it if you want and play at level 1, but you've never had a true progression at level 1 for an iconic character. That's kind of a cool difference here. Okay, next is no vet status characters, and I've already talked about this, but there's no vet status. All characters created on accounts with veteran status will spawn on the veteran status airship as usual, but will then be transported to the beach on Korthos and not given experience to level past level 1. So yeah, no veteran status, you have to level from level 1, which obviously makes sense from a permadeath server. VIP required. This is probably going to be the more controversial aspect, if I had to guess, of this, but the Hardcore League season server can only be accessed by VIP accounts. Now, I personally think that's extremely fair, and I totally understand that. Now, guys, this is how they're monetizing it. Definitely. This is how they're monetizing it. This is how they're going to get paid for the work, so that makes sense. There needs to be more reasons to be VIP that don't take away. There needs to be extras and conveniences that don't just feel like you're I guess, preventing just your premium players from having essential things. So I think this totally makes sense. VIP should have incentives to go VIP, and this is a really good one. This is a bonus alternate way to play the game. It's not going to be the base game. It's just going to be a bonus side thing that you can choose to do if you're VIP. And yeah, they're going to monetize it this way because I think a lot of people will jump on VIP for this. And this is the first thing I can remember in years and years that had made me go, oh man, maybe I should re-up my VIP, because I'm just a premium player for the most part, and I only go on VIP when I'm on a TR bench or something and I want the extra XP or something. But for the most part, I'm on premium accounts, and I have been for a long time. So yeah, this actually makes me interested in upping my VIP again. So I think this is a really good way to monetize it. It's not power creep. It gives VIPs extra reasons to be VIP. Perfectly fair. I think that's awesome. Okay, next. Death is and also, guys, they have to have some way to get paid for the time and effort they put into this. So it makes sense. Okay, next is death is announced. World broadcasts are sent when higher level characters die. That's just a kind of a cool little thing to add in. So if you see a higher level character, like a level 18 character die, it's going to show it in the world. That's cool. Gives a little bit of sense of community, I guess. People can kind of know what's going on. That's pretty neat. So one thing I didn't make clear, I didn't say, was that this server, they've said in the interview, is that it's going to function on a 90-day trial period. So they're going to have seasons. This is not going to be a permanent server that's going to always be accessible. They're going to start a 90-day season, and when the 90-day season is up, I would assume they book the leaderboard permanently in the Hall of Heroes. Again, I'm guessing on that, but what we do know is that it's going to last 90 days, and after that day, I have to assume that they're going to reset it. So this isn't meant to be a progression server. It's meant to be a challenge. And I think that's really cool because it gives people a new way to play DDO. DDO has always been about like the long term grind, the long term project of improving your characters. And this is a totally alternate play style to where it plays more like a mini game, to where it's not permanent. It's just like how long can you survive and how far can you get in 90 days. And that's really cool. Because there's a lot of players who have gotten burnt out on DDO just because of the grind and the grind and the grind. And this gives players a new reason to revisit, not to mention revisit older content, but to actually play the game and level their characters in a way that doesn't feel grindy. It's going to be more like a challenge. So I think that's really cool. I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air for a lot of players. Okay, I have not too many. I overall really like this idea, but I have a couple of concerns. So the first one is there going to be any restrictions on players playing content over level? Because it seems like the best strategy is going to be to play the safest content on like normal, going up until you get to level 30, and then go back and vastly over level, get max favor and everything really safely on elite. That seems like the obvious strategy here. So I think there should maybe be some restrictions on just even heroic levels. I know there's restrictions on entering Reaper dungeons, which I guess will help prevent this a bit, because some of the leaderboards and rewards and stuff are on Reaper points. But as far as just like running stuff on Elite, there's no restriction on that. So I don't know, that kind of I guess not really concerns me. It's just a way I think people are going to kind of get around some of the challenge. But I think the biggest and most obvious takeaway and concern about this is an additional server, and it's going to split the player base up even more, which is really, really the big thing here, where I'm like, ugh. Because it's things players have been complaining about for a long time now is server merges. People want server merges because people are too spread out. There's not enough players to get groups. So what's it going to be like when a big chunk of the players are off on the permadeath server? What's going to happen to the standard servers? Are they going to be even more barren? Yeah, they will be. So I don't know. I think it's two things can be true at once. This can be a good idea to add a permadeath server, and it can also be true that the player base is split up too much on the other servers. So I really wish they would try to do something, or at least hint at something in terms of a server merge for the standard servers. We really, I know it's a technological nightmare for them, but like, if they want to add stuff like this, that's going to draw people away from the standard servers even more. I think they really need to look at doing something, anything to help consolidate players on the standard servers. If we could get at least get the servers down to like 4 or something, that would be a huge improvement. And also make the world not seem as empty when a bunch of VIP players leave for 3 months to play on the hardcore server. There are some other really cool possibilities that this server brings. This is the first time that, other than Lamania, that you're going to be able to play with established players from other servers. So yes, you can jump to other servers, but people tend to have their established characters on one specific server, and they tend to spend their 95% plus of their play time on one specific server. But this is a new server that's going to be run by different rules. So if there's people you've always wanted to play with on other servers, you can both start together on this server with this new challenge fresh. No one's going to feel like they're wasting time by leaving their established characters, or no one's going to refuse to start on this level on this new server because they can't get handy downs from their multi-TR'd characters with all this twink gear. So that's really cool. I think it will be really cool to play with other people that you've never gotten to play with, because you've always been on Sarlona and they've always been on Orion or whatever. So that's really cool. I think there's a lot of cool possibilities, and I like the idea. Kind of concerned about splitting the players up even more, but I think this idea in itself is very well thought out. It seems like they want to do this because they have a really hardcore segment of their players that they want to keep happy. And some players might be like, well, why are they doing this? Because it's going to cater to a very small percentage of players. But what you have to realize is the small percentage of players that this caters to is the most dedicated of all DDO players, and probably the ones that support the game financially the most. So even though this idea might appeal to just a small percentage of players, in terms of the money that SSG gets from that small percentage, it probably amounts to a large portion. I don't know that for sure. I'm just speculating. Obviously, SSG is a private company. I couldn't know that because I can't read their financial statements or whatever, but that would be my guess. So guys, let me know what you think about this idea. If you like it, if you hate it, what you think about it. If you're planning to play on this, because I am considering it. Like, I might actually re-up my VIP to try this out. So yeah guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you next time. Have a good one and take care.